Hello, guys, welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message it comes from an email that one of our admins received, and the part one of the email reads like this. Subject: I sacrificed my own son. Let me say this off my chest so that as I prepare to die, because my time has come and there is nothing that I can do to stop this from happening, because I have sacrificed a lot of people in my lifetime just for riches. Dear African Confessions, I have a confession to make, and this I pray that one day I will find a way out of this whole mess that I managed to put myself into. As a mom, my heart is heavy because of what I did to my own son, and this was a grown-up man who had a family that he had to support, but because of my heart made of stone, I had to sacrifice him for these earthly riches. Vanity, yes, sometimes vanity can feel good when you are enjoying all of the vanity that is out there in the world. My husband recently passed away after our own things that we got from the devil himself. So those things that we got from the devil ended up attacking him. This is the way that demons operate. They have a certain type of rules that they give you, and if you cannot meet your obligations, then those demons will turn around and attack you without ever thinking twice. So after we had failed to meet our obligations, my husband was then attacked by those demons. What we were supposed to do is that we were supposed to continue giving blood each and every year. Blood was needed. At first, our hearts used to be broken whenever our child would have died. But we came to a point whereby we accepted that this was the life that we had chosen, and we had to make peace with the death of our children. As I am writing this to you, I am the one who is next in line. Like a cow headed for the slaughter, I am next in line. I know that I'll be dying very soon because the snake that we acquired is thirsty for more blood. And this is how it all started. It was in the late 90s. Life was very tough for us. And it is in those days where we were coming out of the Rhodesian regime. And whenever my husband would go to look for a job at the gate, there was always a sign as if it was waiting for him to approach the gate. This sign was always written, no job. Whenever my husband would have returned back from his job seeking adventures, that was all that he would tell me. At each and every gate where he would try to knock, there was always that sign written, no job. Looked like all of those industry sent out a memo to print those jobs for my husband. And we had 8 children. By the way, I was a housewife living in the high density suburbs with our kids in a 1-bedroomed house, those built by the colonial government for the bachelors. My husband had worked in the mines but had lost his job. That is when we realized that we needed to wake up, otherwise no one was going to come to our rescue. We went to church, but we also didn't mind trying black magic stuff. So my husband then told me that he had gotten a man. This man, he was from Zambia, and that man was going to assist him connect with his ancestors. So the thing about our countries is that whilst it was in those days of the colonial regime, Zambia, Malawi, Zimbabwe, they were all part of Rhodesia. So a lot of people, they used to travel around those countries. I encouraged him to do so, and he went on that trip to northern Rhodesia, which is now Zambia. That is where he ended up getting help. They did the ritual and he connected with the ancestors successfully, and he was asked to name our children according to the way that he loved them. He said the first thing he did was to look for a coin. In the olden days, there was a 50-cent coin that was used back there in the 80s. So he went to look for this coin and he found it before he had left for northern Rhodesia. So now he listed the names of our children and his brothers and sisters. He said he named them. They are the photos we were displayed on the wall in that dark room where they were seated with the traditional healer. He was then told to go home because everything was all set. We then moved to the village because this was one of the requirements. We had to go and start residing in the villages. Our eldest daughter never got married because she became the wife to one of those small boys whom my husband had brought. They were like his in-laws, and he had to give them a wife because that was what they needed. She died a very painful death, but today I am not going to talk about her. Money started to flock in, and we opened up a small business. This was all blood money. These small boys came into our town as two small roots that were inside a bottle, and we put them in one of the rooms. And one day my husband came to me with a face that was full of mixed feelings. He said that there were two small boys in one thatched hut that we had put that bottle. He told me that we were not to be scared because this was the beginning of the end of our poverty. That is how those boys started to become part of our lives, and we became to have a lot of livestock, lots of cows, goats, and sheep. But all of the cattle that we had were not supposed to be milked. The herd grew into a lot of cattle. We lost count. Then it was time for the first strike. Truly speaking, I was caught unaware. Our very own son, who he had just married, had to die. My husband just told me that it was about time, and I didn't know what he meant. He then told me that the traditional healer had made it clear that in the first year our very own child was going to die. I didn't want to talk about this because this was personal. And which one was it going to be? Our firstborn son had recently gotten married, and they had a very beautiful union, a brighter future. But my husband kept on saying that it was him, the chosen one. I felt so much pain as the date grew closer and closer, and I felt like grabbing my son and running away with him. He died in a very painful way, and to the onlookers, they thought that it was just an accident, but this was a well-crafted thing by the devil. The devil was demanding blood, and we had to offer him this blood. So what happened was that my son, that one who had recently gotten married, he was driving so that he can come and visit us in the village. And as he was about to leave the homestead, my husband whispered that this was the last time that I was ever going to be seeing him. And this really felt so bad for me because I knew that very soon my son was about to get sacrificed. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was forwarded to me by one of our admins. It is part of a very long email that was sent to us by one of our dear sisters. Indeed, strange things do happen in this world. Please let us talk about this issue in the comment section. I'll be back with another episode.